तनासरी महल्ला पंजवा। जिसका तन मन धन सब तिसका, सोई सुगड़ सुजानी। तिन ही सुनिया दुख सुख मेरा, तो बिद नीकी खटानी. This was the Hukamnama from Sri Darbar Sahib on October 26th. So we'll try to understand the meaning of this Hukamnama, including the major concepts in English. So this Hukamnama is by Sri Guru Arjun Dev Ji, our fifth Guru, and in it Guruji says, Jiska tan man tan sab tiska. Tan means body, man means mind, tan means wealth. All of our body, mind, and wealth belong to God, Soi Sugar Sujani, and He alone is wise and all-knowing, or in Punjabi we would say Syana. So this is something that Guru Arjun Dev Ji instills in us, that everything belongs to God, nothing belongs to us, and God alone is all-knowing and wise. But the actual state of our mind is often different. We think of ourselves as being very intelligent. We think of ourselves as being wise. Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Asa Divar says, Man andha now sujan. Our mind is blind. It's spiritually blind, but it considers himself, it calls itself wise. And this is the root of a lot of our misery, that we don't surrender to God. We don't take the wisdom of God, and we consider our own mind to be wise. Guruji says, once we surrender to God, Tin hi sunya dukh sukh mera, then He alone listens to our pains and pleasures, to bid niki khatani. Then our condition, our mental state improves, when we recognize that everything belongs to God alone, and that God alone is wise. So this leads us into the Rahau Tuk. Now in any Shabad, the Rahau is the central idea. So all of the other lines of the Shabad kind of reflect upon the meaning of the Rahau. So Guruji says, Jiya ki eka hi pehmani. My soul is satisfied with, my Jiya, my soul is satisfied with only the one, eka. Nothing else is enough to satisfy me. This is what Guru Arjun Dev Ji is saying. And he says, Avar jatan kar rahe bahutere. People make all sorts of other jatan or efforts. Tin til nahi kimat jani. But they have no kimat, they have no value. Why? Only surrender to God. And how do we surrender to God? The only real way that we can surrender is to recite God's name, and to do sangat, to join the company of those who are reciting God's name. Because otherwise we'll remain reliant on our own intelligence. We'll remain reliant on other jatan or other efforts. But once we are ready, then the Guru unites us with his sangat, and we begin to recite God's name. We begin to realize the importance of understanding Gurbani and surrendering ourselves to God. So this is the central idea of the Shabad, that we should rely only upon God alone, and any other effort we make in any other direction does not have value. So Guruji says, Amrit Nam Nirmolak Hira. The deathless, Amrit means without death, Amrit, no death. The deathless name of God, Amrit Nam Nirmolak Hira. Now what is Nam? So this is something that we've explained in past videos, but just to summarize very briefly, Nam is all of God's glory. Nam is all of God's praises. So when we recite the word Vaheguru, we're contemplating God's glory. We're contemplating God's greatness. So Amrit Nam, the name of the Lord, the praises of the Lord, Nirmolak Hira, is a priceless jewel. And we learn this in Japji Sahib also, that Nam is the ultimate jewel. And this is the jewel that Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about, that Mat Vich Ratan Jawahar Manik. Within our own mind, there's a priceless jewel, but Je Ik Gur Ki Sikh Suni. If we take the time to listen to the Guru's wisdom. Gur Dino Mantani. The Guru has given me this advice. Digar na dole drid kar raheo. This is something that once we realize that this jewel is within us, once we become aware of the jewel of God's name, which is always within us, it cannot be lost, and it remains steady. It can never be forgotten. It can never be lost. Puran hoy triptani. And I am perfectly satisfied with it. So let's take a moment to reflect upon the lesson that Guru Arjun Dev Ji is teaching us. Anything in the world can't permanently satisfy us. It may satisfy us for a few days. We may get temporary satisfaction from it, but ultimately it'll lead to pain and suffering. Guru Arjun Dev Ji is taking us from our own mental state of suffering and imbibing us, teaching us Gurmat so that we can learn the value of God's name, which is really the only thing that can satisfy us. So Guruji further reflects upon this concept. Oye jo beech hum tum kach hote. Guruji says, whoever is between you and me, or whoever is standing between you and me, tin ki baat bilani. I have now taken those things away. I have removed all of the obstacles. And ultimately, the obstacles are whatever else other than God that we are attached to. And that's also the very definition of Maya, which is another central concept in Gurbani that Guruji teaches us. What is the definition of Maya? Eh Maya. Guru Amar Das Ji says, this is Maya, jit har visre, which makes us forget God, which takes us away from Nam Jap, from Nam Simran. And what is the principal agent of Maya? Moho upajay. It creates attachment to things other than God, pao duja laya. And it creates love for things other than God. This is why Guru Arjun Dev Ji in this Shabad says, those things which tore me away from you, which are essentially other things that we are attached to, are now gone because of this steadfast devotion to God alone. And Guruji says, Alankar mil thali hoye hai, taate kanik vakhani. Alankar, or golden ornaments, are melted down to a lump. They are still called gold. For example, the whole world is the very expression of God. So even when they appear to be separate, even when they're in the form of the ornament, ultimately their ultimate identity is still God. And this is overcoming Maya, overcoming illusion. We can't see that everything is gold, or in the ultimate example, everything is God, because we're attached to things other than God. But when we move beyond attachment, then we see that even though things appear to be different, everything is the Spirit of God Himself. So Guruji then talks about the ultimate state in the last two verses. Pragtyo Jyot Sahaj Sukh Soba. The divine light, or the Jyot, has illuminated me. It has become pragat, or manifest. Sahaj Sukh Soba. And I am filled with Sahaj, or peace. Sukh, or happiness. Soba, unlimited glory. Bhaje Anhat Bani. And Anhad Bani means the unstruck current. This is a mystical concept in Gurbani of the Anhad Shabad. That's the sound of the Shabad of Naam that's always resounding, but that we can only hear when we go deeper into meditation. He says that the Anhad Shabad, Anhad Bani, resounds within me. And what is the result of this? Kaho Nanak Nehichal Kar Bandeo. So Guruji says, I have built my Nehichal Kar, or my eternal home. Gur Kiyo Bandhani. And the Guru has constructed it for me. How has he done this? By making us realize that Naam is the only true refuge, and God is the true source of everything. And only when we surrender to God do we realize our true home, do we realize the immortal nature of God's name, and is our ignorance and attachment to Maya removed. So this is the message, the beautiful message that Guru Arjun Dev Ji gives us through this Hukamnama.